Yes, yes, Donald Trump won despite January 6th, but that half the nation was okay with that.
Elephants never forget. And today is January 6th, 2025, 4 years since the January 6th insurrection. And we, Americans who actually care about democracy and the real peaceful transfer of power, not coups and insurrections, we will never forget.
I say no. You don't move on, because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery.
So you can't even make this up. The mainstream media is still pissed off about January 6th. That's right. In 2025, on the same exact day where Donald Trump's victory was certified by the Electoral College, the mainstream media spent the entire day being bitter, knowing that there was nothing they could do about it. And so they decided to just go on and whine and moan about January 6th. And if you don't believe me, take a listen here to Joe Scarborough essentially shaming, essentially lashing out at Americans over the fact that January 6th was actually not a deal breaker for the American people in the 2024 election. And they still can't seem to figure out why. Okay, it's very funny. Check it out.
This remains an evenly divided country, and no one, to paraphrase William F. Buckley, no one is held hostage to the results of the last election, other than what the Constitution tells us. And so we are still a divided nation. And yes, Donald Trump won despite January 6th, but that half the nation was okay with that. Half the nation not okay with that. The debate continues in full.
Folks, if you're enjoying the content, please do us a big favor. Make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you are new. You hitting that red button ensures we can keep bringing you these videos. It's greatly appreciated if you would subscribe. But okay, so you may be listening to a lot of that and trying to figure out what exactly is Joe Scarborough even trying to say. It was sort of a Kamala Harris style word salad in some regards, but the core point of what he's getting at is the debate still goes on, essentially saying we still in 2025 and beyond need to keep on talking about January 6th. Never mind the fact that it obviously did not work in the 2024 election. If we just use it one more time, 2026, 2028, never let the American people forget about this. Let's keep whining and, of course, wonder why MSNBC's ratings are in the toilet. Wonder why nobody is watching our channel. Gee, I don't know. Maybe because you guys refuse to move on from this, despite the fact that the rest of the American people already have. And we'll address this in a second. I have like a response to all of these media figures. But first, I want to show you the rest of what they're saying, because Joe Scarborough, as you could probably imagine, is far from the only deranged lunatic who spent today being pissed off still in 2025 about January 6th. Take a listen to his colleague, Joy Reid. And knowing that it's Joy Reid, you know that this is going to be a true just genius, insightful doozy of a video. Take a listen.
Hey guys, it's Joy. So a lot of you guys have been asking on the socials what my earrings are. And yes, they are fabulous. Here they are. They are elephant earrings. And the elephant is significant for a couple of reasons. Of course, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated symbol is the elephant. But the significance of me wearing them today is that elephants never forget. And today is January 6th, 2025, 4 years since the January 6th insurrection. And we, Americans who actually care about democracy and the real peaceful transfer of power, not coups and insurrections, we will never forget. That is the significance of the earrings today. Have a great day. Peace.
Can Joy Reid just ever act like a normal human being for 2 seconds? Is there any instance, is there a single video I see of her where she doesn't seem like a complete lunatic and a crazy person? I think we know the answer to that question. So, there she is wearing these giant elephant earrings. They look like they're so heavy, they're about to bring the ears down, and I think the symbolism there honestly is funny because you may think, oh, it means we never forget, but an elephant is also the symbol of the Republican Party. So really great messaging there, Joy. I'm sure a lot of people watched that and were definitely not confused on your show today. But there you have her again. The central message here is we will not forget January 6th. We will not move on, even though the American people already have. But I think the most ridiculous reaction about it, and they're all basically saying the same thing here, but the dumbest one of them all came from The View, and none other than Sunny Hostin, who you knew was going to say something stupid. So here is her.
I think we need to find moral clarity, in this country. And I just remember after January 6th, you had someone like Mitch McConnell placing the blame on January 6th where it belonged, squarely on Donald Trump's shoulders. And then you started seeing people backtrack that and losing their moral center. You had Condoleezza Rice, I believe, on this very show saying, we need to move on from January 6th. I say no. You don't move on because January 6th was an atrocity. It was one of the worst moments in American history. And when you think about the worst moments in American history, like World War II, things that happened, like the Holocaust, chattel slavery, we need to never forget because past becomes prologue if you forget any race.
So not only does Sunny Hostin say we should not move on from January 6th, which again, if you guys want to keep talking about it, you're free to do it, okay? Make the 2028 election all about January 6th. I encourage you to do that. That's definitely going to win for you. But not only does she say that, she says she's comparing January 6th, calling it one of the worst atrocities in our nation's history, to World War II, slavery, and the Holocaust. You can't even make that up. I frankly have no words. I'm again just going to say, okay, Sunny, that is so intelligent. That is so insightful. I think that should be the 2028 Democrat platform. That should be the headline keynote speech at the DNC. You should deliver it for Gavin Newsom or whoever the candidate is. Surely you're going to win, okay? Because clearly the American people agree with you, right? Except they don't. So here's what I have to say, because clearly a lot of these left-wing characters in the media seem absolutely astounded. They're flabbergasted to this day by the fact that, they're saying this over and over again. I can't believe that January 6th was not a deal breaker for the American people. I can't believe Donald Trump still won despite January 6th. How did that happen? Okay, all of you guys, Sunny Hostin, Joy Reid, Joe Scarborough, Republicans Against Trump on Twitter. I'm going to give you the very simple answer right here. Okay, this is exactly why January 6th was not a deal breaker in the 2024 election. You know why? Because we're about to burst your bubble. Okay, when you step outside of your little bubble, the truth is that for most American people, January 6th was not some type of insurrection. It was not the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. It was not compared to World War II, slavery, or the Holocaust, in Sunny Hostin's words. You know what it was in the eyes of most people? It was another riot. It was any other riot that has happened in this country. And look, nobody likes riots. Okay, riots are bad. Violence is bad. But to most American people, there's nothing special about January 6th in that regard. Maybe it was a little more memorable, but was it morally worse than BLM? Than the Rodney King riots, than the MLK riots, or whatever else you want to point to? There's been a lot of different stuff in this country. And, when you want to look at actually the damage that was caused by some of these riots, the amount of people who died, a lot of far worse ones than January 6th. But of course, what's the argument that we constantly hear? It's that, well, it's a false equivalency to draw a connection between BLM and January 6th because people in BLM were not rioting in the U.S. Capitol. Well, I got news flash for you guys. Again, we have to burst your bubble here. To most Americans, the U.S. Capitol is not some type of holy site, right? It is not some type of pillar of our sacred U.S. democracy. In fact, it is largely like a den of thieves to most Americans. You know, it's a symbol of an incredibly corrupt and, you know, broken political system. Again, that's not to defend the riot. It's not to say anything good about it. But what it is to say is that when you say January 6th was worse than all these other riots that the left does, like basically every single day, because it happened at the Capitol, that doesn't mean a lot to most Americans. As a matter of fact, when you really compare the two, do you understand how it is actually tone deaf to the ordinary person when what happened during BLM? Largely what happened is the rioters were looting and burning down random mom and pop shops, right? Random people's small businesses. That is their place of work. That is their livelihood. And you guys brush it off. You guys brush it off when normal Americans get their lives destroyed. But when a riot takes place outside of a government building, what you're saying to normal people is they should care more about that than they should when their own livelihood gets burnt down or destroyed. You see what I'm saying? That's the answer on why January 6th was not a deal breaker in this election. Not because the ordinary American out there supported January 6th or thought it was a good day in American history, but because largely speaking, again, explain to me in detail how it was that different than any other riot. And the truth is, it was not, right? It was not an insurrection. It was not an attempt to overthrow an American democracy. All it was, people got angry and they rioted. And that's not a good thing. But it's not something exceptional in American history either. And again, if you disagree with me, disagree with the election results and disagree with the American people themselves, because your gripe is not with me or what I'm saying. Your gripe is with them.
Talk to me about your level of interest in the criminal charges and so forth.
February 6th?
January 6th.
January 6th. So I remember that day. I know he was the standing president. I'm not familiar with the charges that are being brought against him for that. I'm not following that charge or I know there's multiple court cases going on. I'm just not familiar with it.
I mean, that doesn't sound like it's going to be a factor in deciding who to vote for.
No.
Okay, so when I say January 6th, what do you think?
Oh, I just remember seeing it on the news, like all the riots and stuff. Don't really know what it was about or what happened, though.
How did it make you feel when you saw it?
I don't know. I don't really feel any way about it. People showed their emotion, I guess. Probably in the wrong way, but it happened.
See, that focus group right there sums it up, right? You can say, Vince, your opinion on this is slanted. It's biased. No, it's not. I'm reflecting to you what the American people thought of January 6th, as you saw there in that video. Those are with the ordinary union worker voters who decided this election. That's not coming from me. En masse, what did we find? They didn't really care about it. And especially that second guy, again, you get the sentiment. He didn't support January 6th. He's not some type of QAnon, stop the steal activist, but he didn't see it as anything exceptional. He saw it as another riot. They happen all the time in this country. He doesn't support it, but at the same time, it's not some type of giant, crazy deal breaker that's going to change his vote. So there's your answer, okay? If the mainstream media, who has been walking around today constantly saying, I can't believe Americans have forgotten about this, why was that not a deal breaker? If you really want the answer in good faith, there it is. Now, that said, I think most of it is probably just posturing. They're just whining, they're complaining. They understand this. They understand largely that they were creating propaganda to the public over J6. They're really just mad that the American people didn't buy it. They didn't believe it. But again, there's your answer if you're curious. With that said, though, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.